Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The Circuit Court of the 6th Judicial Circuit of the State of Florida and County Court of Pasco County are now in session with the Honorable Judges of the Court in attendance. The Honorable Anthony Rondolino, Chief Judge presiding. All persons having business before this Honorable Court, draw nigh and ye shall be heard. God save the United States, the State of Florida, and the Honorable Court. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
And now it's Bailiff Cesar Taldo with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. Thank you so much for calling the court to order. With that, we formally begin, my friends. I'm Veronica Cintron, evening anchor at Spectrum Bay News 9. What a huge honor to be joining you again this year. Thank you, thank you. And how exciting that we are marking the 11th annual Pasco County National Adoption Day ceremony. 11 years, let's hear it. For those of you who have attended this event in the past, thank you for being here today. You know how emotional this event can be. Now, if you're new and you're joining us for the first time, I hope you brought some tissues because it can be a tearjerker. Now, those are tears of joy, I can tell you. There are so many full hearts here. On this National Adoption Month, we're celebrating these children finding their forever families and making this exciting new chapter of their lives official. You may have heard before the words, parenthood requires love, not DNA. You're going to be seeing some incredible examples of that here today. There is an abundance of hope, of compassion, of selflessness, and of course, so much love in this room today. Families who rose, families who answered the calling to this special purpose. We'll hear about the journey of one of those families later in our program, a journey that, as you know well, winds through the court system in what can be sometimes a long process. Right now, I'd like to introduce the Chief Judge of the 6th Judicial Circuit, who will share with us this morning a few words about their role in adoptions. Please help me give a warm welcome to Circuit Judge Anthony Rondolino.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. And welcome, everyone. The first thing I'd like to do is introduce some of the judges and special guests that we have here. Hold your applause, please, to the end. We have sitting up here in front of me Judge Jim Stearns, Judge Paul Fermani, Judge Declan Mansfield, and Judge Phil Mattei. We also have from the court system Gay Inskeep, our trial court administrator for the 6th Judicial Circuit, Lillian Simon, the director of our administrative services, the Honorable Nikki Alvarez-Souls, the Pasco clerk and comptroller. We have Captain Sharon Foshley attending for Sheriff Naco. We have Chad Popple, Secretary of the Department of Children and Families, on behalf of Walter Sachs, Regional Managing Director, and Celeste Fernandez, Community Development Administrator. Chris Card, Eckerd Connects, Chief of Community-Based Services. Brian Bostic, Eckerd Connects Alternatives. Sonia Graham, another Eckerd's Connects Senior Director. Keith Murheji, Vice President of the Central Programs, Youth and Family Alternatives, and that's just those folks who made the list. I know there are many other dignitaries who are here, some who prefer to remain nameless, but they all want to be here for this important event. And we thank you for coming. This is the 11th annual Adoption Day ceremony that we've observed here in Pasco County during our national observance of Adoption Month. And our country celebrates National Adoption Day on November 23rd, but that's a Saturday. That's Saturday before Thanksgiving. And so I guess it's more appropriate that we have a court proceeding during the week. But what a great day it is for the court system, for the adopting parents, and most of all the children who are going to be adopted in ceremonies later today. This year, we've had a good number of children who have found their forever families. There are 20 children today who are being adopted into 17 families. You know, we as judges deal with painful and sometimes life and death decisions, but doing adoptions is one of the most enjoyable experiences that we have. There's not a whole lot of things we do in this courthouse where everybody coming into the courtroom is happy and everybody leaving the courtroom is happy. And the judges really enjoy those kinds of proceedings, so these are special days for us too. It's nice to be able to see everyone with their smiling faces here in the courtroom. For the children, they're now going to be part of a new family legally. Many have had a difficult journey to get to the point that we're at today. And it's great that it can culminate in these ceremonies today. With love, caring, and nurturing, who knows what greatness will be in store for many of these children. They may grow up to be a teacher, doctor, judge, perhaps even President of the United States. Who knows? The opportunities are limitless for them. Whether they grow to be president or a pauper, however, is not as important as now being part of a permanent, loving family. And we thank the adopting parents and also the foster parents. You all are really, really special people. It's an immense responsibility to raise a child, and the importance of having folks who are willing to step forward and take the responsibility cannot be underestimated. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to be rich to adopt. You just need to be loving and committed to a forever family. And particularly in the somewhat tight economic times that we have, it's even more admirable for folks to take on the extra burdens and responsibilities, not only the emotional commitment, but the financial commitment. And we as a society are indebted to each and every one of you. I thank you, and everyone here thanks you. Your sacrifices are many, but hopefully the rewards to you and the children and society are even greater. We need many, many more people who are willing to bring children into their lives. So at this point, I'd like to thank some of the entities that are involved in the process. Eckerd Connects Community Alternatives for being the lead agency responsible for the safety and well-being of the children in our foster care system here. Here's just a minor statistic. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of numbers, but under Eckerd's guidance, 108 adoptions took place in Pinellas and Pasco counties just since July 1st. There are many other agencies and entities, but to name a few that deal specifically with adoptions here, the Guardian Ad Litem Foundation of Tampa Bay, Gulf Coast Heart Gallery of Pinellas and Pasco, and Youth and Family Alternatives. Thanks to those entities, and thanks to all of the attorneys who are involved in assisting in these adoptions. And I cannot fail to mention the case managers who work so hard for these children. I must say that we can be happy and clap about the successes, but there's a whole lot more that needs to be done. At any given time, there's over 800 children waiting to be adopted in Florida, and in our nation, there's 120,000 children waiting to be adopted. Today, however, is an occasion for joy here. Congratulations to the adopting parents and the adopted children. Because of the people like you, progress is being made. This is like a new birthday today for the children, and may in fact be celebrated in your families as such. Thank you once again to the parents for your willingness to care and nurture, and may God bless you in your endeavors. So at this point, I'd like to invite Judge Stearns up to the podium for a few remarks.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Judge Rondolino and Gay, for joining us here today, as well as everyone else that is here, and of course, all of you. good afternoon, or good morning, excuse me. Again, my name is Judge Stearns, and I have had the honor of presiding over the Unified Family Court for almost 4 years now. Time surely flies when you're having fun. I would like to welcome all of you, as Judge Rondolino indicated, to the 11th annual celebration of Adoption Day here in Pasco County, and it is a wonderful, wonderful event. It's like Christmas morning to me. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I've already had 3 final hearings here this morning, and I think I cried at all 3 of them this morning. And it was a wonderful, wonderful event. I've got 4 more starting at about 11:45. So I see a lot of familiar faces. I see a lot of smiles on those faces here today. I know that for a lot of you, it has been a long journey, but it is going to be a wonderful, wonderful event. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the families, as well as their village, as we call them in my courtroom, of family members and friends and other supporters for opening up their hearts and opening up their homes to these wonderful, wonderful children and young adults. It is truly a selfless act, and this court surely appreciates your efforts. But without question, it is a step in your lives that will bring countless rewards and smiles in your future. I guess I was the de facto chairman of this committee to work on this event, but I would like to thank all of the committee members. Most of them are here today for their work, countless hours and dedication to make this happen. I do want to single out Miss Nancy Allen, who did, yes. She makes me look very good, not only in Unified Family Court as well as today, because she really did the lion's share of this work, and it is so far so good, Nance. All right. I'd like to thank, again, all of the members. I mean, Michelle D'Angelo and Megan Truesdale that got some unbelievable donations, and all the contributors. There's a list, and I'd encourage you all to take a look at that list for everyone that has contributed to make this day such a special event. I'd like to thank Veronica Cintron. Now, you made a big mistake last year, and you did such a great job. We just had to have you back. And I know that your time is very valuable, but surely thank you for all of your efforts. So appreciate it. And last but not least, where's my judicial assistant, Jessica Smith, over there, who has done a great job. She's had a lot of sleepless nights and stressful days. There's a lot of moving pieces, and they're last-minute moving pieces to get this done. So again, I want to thank all of the families. I want you to enjoy this day of celebration. It is well-deserved, so have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Judge Fermani, do you have a few words you'd like to say?
I'd like to echo the comments and thanks of Judge Stearns. I'd like to thank my judicial assistant, Ellen Dacey. I forgot to thank her last year, and she reminded me. I wrote a speech, but I'd rather speak from the heart rather than read from a speech. I want to thank these superheroes that are in this courtroom today. The adoptive parents. They take the form of relatives, non-relatives, aunts, uncles, grandparents, foster parents, some total strangers that meet through matching services or the Heart Gallery. You are the true superheroes. You don't need a cape and an S on your chest to be a superhero in this division. I find it ironic that we have so many public service announcements for abandoned and traumatized pets. If I've heard Bento the keyboard cat once, I've heard it 1,000,000 times. Why don't we have as many public service announcements for prospective adoptive parents of traumatized and abandoned children. So until we have that equality, I ask you to be the bearer of that news. Go out into the community, talk to your spouse, talk to your adult children, talk to your church members, your synagogue members, your mosque members, talk to your bowling league, talk to your Rotary, and tell them it's pretty cool to be a superhero. It's even cooler to be an adoptive parent. Because when those children, too many of them, are looking for that loving home full of love and safety that they never had before, you should be the next one to step up and raise your hand and say, I want to be that next superhero. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Fermani. While Judge Fermani was making those remarks about superheroes, it made me think I'd like to have everybody who is presently an adoptive parent, has been an adoptive parent, raise your hand. I know Gay is, I know I am, so everybody who has been an adoptive parent, raise your hand. Look at that. I guess we need to spread the word, as Judge Fermani says, and get some more folks to enjoy the benefits that we have. So having said that, we have some other speakers, and I know Veronica will take the rest of the program forward.
All right, thank you so much, Judges Rondolino, Stearns, and Fermani. Beautiful words, thank you. And for the parents in the room, mamas that I see you hustling with the babies, do not mind if your baby's crying here. We are celebrating families. We are just fine with that. If your baby needs to walk, sure, go ahead, all right? We are happy that you're here with us today, and we know how it is during programs where kids have to sit along for a little bit. So no worries. Right now, our next speaker is the Executive Director of Eckerd Connects Community Alternatives, Pasco and Pinellas County. Now, this is a lead agency providing child welfare and foster care services to nearly 3,700 children and teens every single day. Eckerd Connects strives to support and to strengthen families through child abuse prevention, child placement, and adoption support. Now, to give us a closer look at Eckerd's mission and accomplishments, please help me welcome Mr. Brian Bostic.
Good morning, everyone. Today is a celebration of our adoptive parents who are adopting kids today. It is a great honor to be here. It's a joyous occasion for us to recognize and honor the forever families that these kids will get today. So it has been a long journey, probably, and today is a culmination of that. And I hope you feel the joy that I feel today, and I'm sure these kids do. These kids deserve the opportunity to have forever families, because we many times experience kids aging out of our foster care system. And of course, at 18 years old, no one's ready to be out on their own, in their own place and things. And so I think back when I was 18 and what I've been okay with living on my own, I would not have been. You've given these kids the opportunity to have a forever family, a mom and a dad, and someone who can give them guidance and the support that they need. So again, today is a joyous occasion. It's a celebration, and I echo what all the judges have said about the supports that are needed. But today is a celebration of you guys, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for what you're going to do. And I'm saying thank you for the kids that you're going to adopt today. 20 kids are going to have a forever family today, and we are so appreciative of that. And if we can have 20 kids get adopted every day, it'd definitely be a great day, and we can reduce those 800 children in the state of Florida that are still up for adoption. So thank you for that. Next, I want to introduce Walter Sox from the Department of Children and Families, who's going to read the proclamation from the Governor of the State of Florida. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Unfortunately, the reading of a resolution takes a little while. There are 10 whereases, so hang in there. I will get to the most important one about in the middle, but I'll highlight it for you. This is a resolution by Governor DeSantis and the Cabinet Whereas it is paramount that Florida's children and families have the opportunity necessary to reach their full potential and lead healthy lives to ensure they can have a bright future. And whereas all children deserve a loving, supporting, nurturing, and permanent family of their own. And whereas adoption is an opportunity to change the lives of a child and their adoptive family when making an impact on the local communities. And whereas anyone with the ability to love a child, provide the basics for a child, and to make a lifelong commitment can be an adoptive parent. And whereas, here it comes, it's the big one, 4,572 Florida children found forever homes during fiscal year 2018-19. And as mentioned earlier, whereas approximately 800 Florida children are available for adoption without an identified family, including teenagers, sibling groups, and children with medical needs. And whereas the chair of the Florida Children and Youth Cabinet, through her Hope for Florida program, First Lady Casey DeSantis, is working alongside state agencies to improve the health, safety, economic stability, and equality of life for our children. And whereas all of the partners, the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Florida Department of Children and Families, the community-based care lead agencies, the Heart Galleries, the state and local agencies, child advocacy organizations joined together in November to raise awareness of foster care adoptions in Florida. And whereas Florida will celebrate National Adoption Month and Florida Adoption Month through 30 days of amazing children on the Explore Adoption website at www.adoptflorida.org. Final whereas, families and children across the state and nation will celebrate adoption on November 23rd. Just in case you're interested, the region is celebrating on November 8th, November 15th, November 22nd, and November 23rd. Recognized as National Adoption Day while also remembering the children who still are in need of a loving, permanent family of their own. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Governor and the Cabinet of the State of Florida recognize November 2019 as Florida Adoption Month. And it goes on. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, those proclamations tend to be lengthy, but what matters to us is the message, the recognition for Adoption Month, and the impact that organizations like Eckerd Connects are having in our community. Brian, both of you, thank you for all your work and your commitment to our children. Let me tell you a little bit more now about our next speaker, Patsy Stills. Patsy has served as the director of the Gulf Coast JFCS Heart Gallery of Pinellas and Pasco counties since January of 2018. She has worked in social services for more than 25 years. The Heart Gallery of Pinellas and Pasco was formed in 2006 to increase the number of successful adoptions of local children in foster care. Now, since 2006, your local Heart Gallery has helped find forever families, listen to this, for nearly 370 minors, including children with medical needs, teens, brothers and sisters, all wishing to be adopted together. That is amazing. Let's hear it for Mrs. Patsy Stills.
Thank you, everyone. How's everyone feeling today? Nervous. Anyway, well, thank you for having me here today. Thank you for the brief introduction. We're here for one reason today, is to celebrate. So I love to celebrate. That's part of the favorite part of my job, is to help doing that. But welcome to National Adoption Month and our adoption celebration here in Pasco County. It's my honor to speak to you on behalf of the Heart Gallery. Heart Gallery you've known since 2006. We've been around in serving Pinellas and Pasco counties since that time and doing the work that needs to be done to help. We're really here just to help case management, just to help Eckerd, and just to help connect families who really want to adopt. So we're very honored that we're able to do that every single day of the year. And in leap year, we get an extra day to do that, which is exciting. We'll have that next year. But we are the Heart Gallery. We have helped with the adoptions, as I said. But Recently, we merged with Gulf Coast Jewish Family and Community Services. Gulf Coast JFCS has been in Pasco County for many years also, and has been in Pinellas and Pasco counties and all throughout the state. And with that merger, we're able to help reduce some of the things that it takes to do on the back end, like, you know, the paperwork and signing checks and all that. And it's really enabled me and my staff to come out to the community more and to get to Pasco about twice as much as I was able to before this time, build some galleries, and get the word out that we do have families that are needed for some of our children, and let's get that done. I want to introduce, we still have the same staff. I was the executive director before, now I'm the program director. It's all good. We run the program with 1.5 staff, so I want to introduce my 1.5. My 0.5 is in the back. We let her be a whole person, but as FTE, I want you to say hi to Catherine. You don't have to come up or anything, but if Catherine, if you'll wave in the back there. Catherine Pappas just joined us a month ago. She is an adopted young adult herself, and she has a wonderful 2-year-old son, and so I get a little grandma time, which I don't have with my own children, so I'm taking them under my wing for that. But with Catherine comes a lot of passion for what she does, compassion for the children being adopted, and a lot of support for the whole entire process, and so it's great to have Catherine on board. Welcome, Catherine. I just want to celebrate 3 things real quick today: case management, families, and children. So case management, I know I am always preaching to people about how wonderful case management is, and I truly mean that. You know, and having a background in social services and child welfare, there's no end to the amount of work that they do, and I'm so thankful for case management. So I don't know if you realize it or not, but Youth and Family Alternatives is in the house today, right? Wave or stand. We're Youth and Family Alternatives. And the adoptions case management team, you know, does a lot of work behind the scenes. They are the unsung heroes of this whole process. They can't bring anyone to this court unless the case managers do that part to bring them here to the judge, to have the judges sign off on that. So thank you so much for what you do. And YFA has consistently helped this circuit exceed the adoption goals every year, and it leads the way. And Brian and Sonia are always like, come on, YFA, you can do it. So we are very thankful for you. So let's give a huge round of applause to all the folks. If you want to stand, you can, from YFA. And as Nelson Mandela said, we can change the world and make it a better place. It is in your hands to make the difference, and you guys make the difference. In celebration of individuals and families who adopt, you are beyond wonderful. You really are. And every other adjective that we can take to explain who you are to the world. It's not easy. People don't always understand adoption. But when it comes to the idea of adopting a local child, I like the analogy of the movie The Matrix. Any Matrix fans out here? Remember, who is that? Sonia. All right. Like Neo, you chose the red pill. Yes, you did. Even though you were warned that your sense of reality would forever be changed and life would be a lot harder than if you just took that blue pill where life could stay blissfully on the easier path. You chose the red pill. You really did, and we're really thankful for that. So thank you for choosing the path less traveled, and thank you for putting your faith in the red pill, and for taking the oath to bring one more child or more into your lives. It really will make a difference for them long term, as it does for so many people who took your path today. So if you are an adoptive parent, and we already thanked them, but I want to thank them again. If you are an adoptive parent or will be today in a few hours, please stand or wave and be recognized. And if you want to stand this time, just stand up and be proud. Adoptive parents. Woo-hoo! You're the families. And in case you haven't adopted yet, you can be an individual or you can be married. You don't have, you just see me after if you're interested, if you haven't taken that path yet for the red pill. I got some red pills in my pocket. One quick quote: never let your fear of the unknown, of things being too difficult, make your choices in life for you. One of the saddest lessons in life in finding out that your fear made the situation worse than it was, and the braver person stole the dream you gave up on. Don't give up on your dreams, and we're thankful to you for being here today. And finally, for the children, it's all about the kids, right? It always comes back to the children. Thank you so much for being here today and for deciding to be adopted. Children do have a choice in adoption, and we're really thankful that, you know, the children, as they get a little bit older, choose to be adopted, and that's what we're really pushing to help those teenagers never give up on adoption and to follow it through to the end. You know, we talked about Nelson Mandela, and he was from South Africa, and he was the first South African president. He himself was adopted, and he believes that every individual has the power to change the world and make an impact. And sometimes adopted kids and adults face bias. That's not unusual. It's sad, like our judges have said, you know, we need to change the perception around the world about adoption. But in 2016, one of the best American athletes in history, a young gymnast who had to deal with an interviewer who refused to acknowledge her adoptive parents as her parents. Everyone can say boo, boo, boo. There you go. Thank you. And the interviewer didn't let it go after he was corrected, and that led to her having to answer some more questions from reporters wanting to know if she had a comment about it, to which she replied, "I personally don't have a comment." Then she said, "My parents are my parents, and that's it." Right? That young lady was Simone Biles, and she is still making history in gymnastics today. So children, thank you so much for being adopted. You are the future. You're like Jamie Foxx was adopted, and you got all sorts of other cool people. So, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Chris Archer from the Rays, who was adopted himself and who helped us bring the 300th adoption to this community not too long ago. And the Rays are big supporters of adoption in general in this area too. So a little shout out for them. So in recognition to all the children and adults who have been adopted or will be adopted today, if you are a child and you're adopted, please stand or wave and we'll cheer for you now. Children! Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Let today be the beginning of the rest of your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patsy, and the folks at the Heart Gallery. They're angels among us. The work they're doing, if you haven't had a chance to visit their website, what a wonderful tool to connect our communities to these wonderful children. Thank you. Thank you again. You know, doing what I do for a living, you well know that oftentimes we have to share with you, the viewers, stories that can be very challenging. We have a front row seat at times to the ills of society, sometimes more often than you'd like. By Friday, not gonna lie, sometimes I make it and I'm thinking, Lord help us, give me grace, because that's a lot of, you know, ugly things that you see. But today, on this Friday, we get to celebrate you. Families exhibiting the best qualities in humanity. And the story you're about to hear is going to be one that's going to inspire you. And I personally believe it's God touching us with this man's message. While stationed in Okinawa, Japan, as a U.S. Marine Corps officer, Bradley Hawkins and his wife Shannon yielded to God's command in James 1:27 to care for orphans. You could say the Hawkins family did just that by caring for not 5 or 10, but 18 children through foster care and adoption over the next 7 years. And that's not all. Of those 18 children, 7 became their forever children. Let's give him a round of applause. That is amazing. So let me go through their names and ages. They adopted David, then a newborn in 2012. They adopted half-siblings Jordan, now 9, and Elizabeth, now 7, in 2014. Just a few months ago, in August, they adopted 4 siblings. Christopher, 7, Damien, who's 6, Joshua is 4, Isaiah is 2. The month before that adoption, now, this is just a couple months ago, the couple gave birth to their 8th forever child, a boy named Levi. Oh, I'm so excited. Just a beautiful family. I cannot wait for you to hear his story. Please help me welcome Mr. Bradley Hawkins.
Good morning. Good morning, Chief Judge and judges. I have a homework assignment. Judge Demers sends his greetings. And since he holds part of my grade in his hand, that's done. If he calls, check mark. And so as you heard, I'm a retired Marine, and my wife was a Marine officer, which is much more, it's harder to be that than a Marine. And I'm in law school now. So I say that to say nobody has an excuse on not to adopt or foster, because those take up just a tad bit of time. But Judge Fermani asked me to speak about things that are most intimate to my heart, and the jury's out on whether I'm going to make it through this without breaking down. So just give me a little bit of leeway on that. Congratulations to all the families who are adopting today. It's a special day, a spectacular day, a powerful day. Because foster care and adoption is inextricably intertwined, I'm not only going to talk about adoption, I am going to talk about foster care with it. So please pay attention. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir, but if anything that I say today gets an additional child adopted or an additional home opened, then it's worth it all for some of you who are like, yeah, I'm here, I'm doing it, I've got it. As you heard, we've adopted 7 kids and we have 8 children. We drive around in everybody's dream car, a 15-passenger van. But it's a dream car because of what goes on inside of it. Screaming and crying and hair pulling and feet on the seats and boogers being eaten and all kinds of things. But I wouldn't have it any other way. When we go into places, we don't just sneak into them. We are well noticed. So I thought I'd share 5 things that you don't say to adoptive families. And if there's large adoptive families, understand this, or foster families, and they're funny on one hand and on the other side, you have to exercise tact, otherwise you stand before judges for doing wrong things. So number 5, we'll go in reverse order. Are you running a daycare? No, not running a daycare. My wife actually has to endure these much more than me, because like I said, I'm in law school, and she sits through the pain. Number 4, have you ever lost one? No, I haven't. But we haven't gone over 10 because I only have 10 fingers. So, what happened to their real parents? I'm right here. You're asking me. The next one, number 2, is the flip side of that. Do you have any of your own kids, or do you have any real children? I can assure you by the many things that are broken in my house, 1, they are real, and they are all my own. And number 1, and this really leads to what I want to talk about today, is the excuse for not fostering or for not opening a home for adoption. I couldn't do what you do because I would love them too much. So, first off, I think you're implying that I don't love them enough. But second, the children about whom I'm speaking have endured more trauma and have endured more things than even I, as a retired Marine, have ever experienced. There are those in this room who will never, ever, ever go through what those children have already gone through. I'm going to share a story from the Heart Gallery, if I'm okay with that. I figured since it was online, I'm not breaking any. I'm going to share some personal stories from my children, but the motivation that my wife and I have really to do this is that sacrificial love changes the trajectory of life. It inextricably changes a child's life into something that it would have never been. So when someone says, I couldn't do that because I would love them too much, I think about my son Jordan. He was born addicted to cocaine. Over the next 18 months, his birth mother lost 2 children because she was addicted to cocaine. And 18 months after he was born, his sister, my daughter, was born addicted to cocaine. So the first 18 months of his life, his birth mother lost 2 children and gave birth to another child addicted to cocaine. That means he was being neglected for 18 months. In some of the most important times of his life, where he is developing, he's learning how to cope, he's learning that when I cry, someone meets my needs, never happened. And so when he came to my house when he was 3 years old, after he'd been in 5 foster care homes, when terrible things happened, he didn't know how to explain those things, and he would smash his head against the wall and against the floor because he couldn't communicate them. But he's one of the smartest kids I know, and he's 9 years old today, and he's mine. So when I think about sacrificial love, I have to think of an example. And even if you've never been in church before, you certainly have heard the verse John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe on him would not perish but have everlasting life." The word begotten is a word from the Greek that specifically means one of privilege, one of a specific place, one that no one else can sit in. And God said, I'm giving the most important thing. I'm bankrupting heaven because I love you so much. That's our example of sacrificial love. So how can I love someone too much that I wouldn't care for them, that I wouldn't try to heal them, that I wouldn't give them a home where they know I'm always going to have food, I'm always going to have a bed, I'm always going to have these things? If you were to go online and go into Google and type in YouTube, which you could just go to YouTube, and type in Tampa Bay Heart Gallery, you got to hit both sides because not everybody understands that, right? So go to Tampa Bay Heart Gallery, they have a YouTube page, and look for Janiyah. It's a 3-year-old video. And these videos are great, I guess, if you like to cry. So Janiyah is 13 years old in the video. Math for Marines, that makes her 16 years old now. I don't know what the rest of her story is, but listen to some of the things that she answered. She said she was 13, she's been in the foster care system her whole life, doesn't know how many homes that she was in. And the voice off camera asks her, if you could tell a prospective adoptive family something, what would you tell them? And she says, I would tell them I get upset sometimes. I just need somebody to come close to me and hug me. Just be a mom and tell me everything is going to be okay, because I've never had a mom to do that for me. And then she's asked, why is family important? And she answers, because they will always love you no matter what. Now people look at me and they go, you must be the greatest parent in the world. And I say, please don't listen, I am the worst parent in the world. I don't beat my children and things like that, but I make the wrong choice all the time. Sometimes I make the right one. But there's situations that happen and I go, I probably should have handled that different. You have a bunch of choices, but my children know at the end of the day that there is nothing that they can do that stops my love, and I would never ever stop loving them, and that no matter what happens, they can run to my arms and I will hold them. So to think that there are children who their entire life at 13 has never had someone say, it will be okay. You can cry on my shoulder. We'll get through this together. How can you say I would love them too much? I don't understand that. What are you really sacrificing? So sacrificial love changes the trajectory of life. I told you Jordan's story just a minute ago about how he was born addicted to cocaine, and we adopted Jordan and Elizabeth from Pinellas County. When on the evening of the day of his adoption, as we sat around the kitchen table, and he probably doesn't remember this, but he looked at me and he said, Papa, do you know what adoption means? Well, yes, I do. But I wanted to know what my 4-year-old son thought adoption meant. So at 4 years old, this is the wisdom of my son. Papa, it means that I don't ever have to pack a bag and go somewhere by myself and be afraid. Even at 4, they hurt. They know that it's scary. But when you open your home and you have sacrificial love, they also know when it's safe. We had 3 young girls who came into our home as foster children. And their day started early on Sunday with the police coming in and arresting their parents and then coming to my house a couple hours later. And Eckerd knew that we went to church on Sunday, and so they came and they had a dress. And that's all that they had. And we showed up at church, and they went into Sunday school, and we went to church, and we picked them up afterwards, and we said, "Did you have fun?" And the oldest one's response to me was, "This was the best day ever." Good. Because even the children know when I'm being loved and I'm in a safe place, this is a good day. Adoption is a powerful word. It's an old word. It's an ancient word. It's been used for thousands of years. The Apostle Paul used the term adoption when he wrote the book of Romans. And as he's penning that book to that church in Romans, he reaches back and he talks about when Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane before he was arrested and before he was taken before Pontius Pilate and sentenced to die on the cross. And he's in that garden and he's praying and he's so full of pressure that he's sweating blood. And as he reaches out to his Father, he uses a term and he says, the verse actually says, he cries out, "Abba, Father." And that term's important because in Greek, it's a term that expresses a relationship of which there is not another relationship closer than that. And so when Paul pens this letter to the church in Romans, and he's talking to believers, and he says, you no longer have a spirit of fear unto death. You have a spirit of adoption unto life, whereby you cry out, "Abba, Father." He chose adoption to make that connection because adoption is a powerful word. It's a legal word that is powerful, it's privileged, and it's permanent. And that's what he wanted to get across. And for our children, that's exactly what it does. 7 of my children I've adopted. All 7 of my children have birth certificates. Mother isn't crossed out with a different mother's name. Father isn't crossed out with a different mother's name. It says mother, Shannon Hawkins. Father, Bradley Hawkins. It's as if that was what it was from the beginning, and that's what it will be until the end of time. When their children's children want to know about their lineage, and they search, they will find me and my wife, because it has changed the entire trajectory of their life. So instead of my children wondering what is the next place I'm going to get food, 4 of my kids came to my home almost starved to death. I gave them toys and they did not know how to play with them. They took the toys and only smashed each other in the head, although today they still smash each other in the head, but that's for different reasons. They didn't know how to ask to go to the bathroom. They didn't know how to wash their hands. But today their bigger problems are someone stole my toy from me. Today they have little bellies on them. Most importantly, they're privileged. There are billions of people in this world, and there are 7 children whose life has changed to a point where they are the only ones who can come to me with a problem. They're the only ones that can come and say, "Papa, I need you." And they're the only ones that can demand a response from me that only a father gives. So through the power of adoption, they are privileged unlike anyone else. They can never, ever, ever lose that. They receive love that only I and my wife can give them, that no one else can give them. I shudder to think about where they would be. But I hear their dreams now. I have children tell me they want to be a Marine pilot. I have a son who tells me, I want to be a missionary. I want to be a nurse. Some of them don't know what they want to do, and that's okay. But they have dreams, and they have the ability to dream those dreams, and they have the ability to achieve those dreams. So my question is, how much do you really have to sacrifice for that? Because it sounds to me like they've sacrificed a lot more than I have. What really is your limit? What if my wife and I would have said after the first 3 children who we adopted, that's it, they're crazy, I can't take any more. They are crazy, and I don't know if I can take any more, but I know I have God on my side. So if we all asked ourselves that same question, how many children do I really have? I know I have this many right here, but what's the 1 or 2 that's waiting out there that's waiting for me to actually show sacrificial love?
Bradley, thank you. Thank you for what you've done, what you continue to do, for your message. You've touched all of us in ways that you may never know about. So thank you. My friends, it is that big time of the afternoon now. It's about to be noon, and we are going to proceed to the big moment of the day, making our adoptions final. I want to give you a couple of housekeeping announcements right now. The judges are going to move into the hearing rooms where the adoptions will be formally completed. When it's time for your adoption, the bailiff will find you here in this room and escort you to the hearing room where the adoption will be finalized. While you wait and once your adoption has been completed, your forever family is invited to join in the festivities here in the courtroom. As you know, we have many wonderful organizations here. Eckerd Connects Community Alternatives, Youth and Family Alternatives, the Guardian Ad Litem Foundation, the Heart Gallery. They have worked with court staff to provide refreshments. You've seen some of it out there. Gifts, we have them here, and as well, we have entertainment. Also, the Heart Gallery has arranged for a professional photographer to take your first family portrait. So please be sure to visit with a photographer in courtroom 2B. Remember that, 2B, after your adoption has been finalized, to make sure you have your family portrait taken. And of course, you are free to take as many of your own cell phone photos as you want. Now I'd like to take a moment, I know we've already mentioned this, but you cannot thank these folks enough. I want to recognize the hardworking group of volunteers from the court staff and other agencies with us today. You know, they put so much heart into their work. They put countless hours into what they're doing, into this process. So a special thank you to you all and to the caseworkers, the guardians ad litem, attorneys, and court personnel working to make sure these adoptions are done properly, they're done legally, and that they're in the best interest of the kids, of the parents. We extend to you our deepest gratitude, and of course, a big congratulations to you all today. Thank you so much. Also, as we conclude this part of our program, let's not forget, you heard a little bit about this today, about the many hundreds of children in Florida still waiting to be adopted. May they find families with the hearts like yours here today, so they can too find their forever homes. It has been a huge, huge honor for me to join you today, to be a witness to the many beautiful faces in this room, the wonderful moving stories of hope and love and compassion. Thank you for having me again this year. What an honor. Again, congratulations, and let's celebrate. Thank you for coming. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Can you say hi?
I love him. And I want to keep him forever.
You're joined here today, it looks like, by a bunch of family and friends. Is that your village?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely my village.
Thank you. And Your Honor, based on the pleadings filed with the court, as well as the testimony of the parties, I would ask the court to grant the petition for adoption, making this child forever known as Cameron Richard Barney, the son of Renee Barney.
All right, Ms. Barney, thank you for opening up your heart and your home. You are a superhero to Cameron. And at this time, I'm delighted to grant the petition by you of Cameron Richard Barney, and I'm now going to sign it to make it official. Congratulations.
Okay. So handsome.
Hey, Mom, look up.
Okay. I'm looking at him.
I love Batman too.
Ready to proceed? All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. I'll support Dylan on behalf of this beautiful family.
It's Abby and Pace.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. and Mrs. Cook, I'll start with you. And Your Honor, we're here today for the adoption of these two beautiful children, Miley Lynn Abigail Cumby, soon to be Abigail Lucinda Cook, and Blaze Alexander Pullen, soon to be Blaze Alexander Cook. And Mr. and Mrs. Cook, I'll start by asking you some questions. Ms. Cook, if you'll answer, and then Mr. Cook after that, please.
The court has no questions. I will sign the final judgment of adoption, making it official, and I'll also sign the terminating jurisdiction. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you're joined here today by great-grandma. Is that correct? Who we decided will now be a grandma. So we've improved nicely. Go back. Mr. and Mrs. Parker, would you like to?
Better their lives.
Thank you. Do I have any other questions for you, Madam Case Manager? Would you state your name? Chelsea Jocelyn. Thank you. Your agency issued the consents for this adoption?
Yes.
And as you sit here today, you are still in support of these three young ladies becoming the forever daughters of Mr. and Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Thank you. And Your Honor, based on the pleadings filed with the court as well as the testimony of the parties, I would ask the court to grant the petition for adoption, making these three little girls the children of Mr. and Mrs. Parker.
This is wonderful. I had the opportunity to review the staff attorney's notes as well as Ms. D'Angelo's comments about what they beautiful girls you have and how smart they are. It's really been disappointing meeting them. And I really like the idea that you're now a grandmother, but a
It's better than being called great-grandma.
You can do magic, I guess. This is great. So I want to congratulate all of you. At this time, for the record, the court will grant the verified petition for adoption. Let's give these three girls a wonderful.
That's a good one.
All right, give me one more. Oops, sorry.
Happy.
One more time. Happy Adoption Day. Gotcha. Thank you.